Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR 395. It's WWE Survivor Series 2021, but I am not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by Jaxie. How you doing?
Woohoo! I am back again, ready for another WWE pay-per-view. Thank you for having me back again. Hi, everyone.
Well, it just shows your WNR loyalty to show up for the WWE shows, so it is much appreciated.
Definitely.
And like I said, it's
Always
great to have
will.
you back on again as well, you know?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's brilliant. And let me say, this month's story is going to be about the prize fighter, the king, and the tribe. And we're going to get to it right now because we're going to look at SmackDown and Raw leading up to Survivor Series. Start with October. Of course, Roman Reigns kicking off SmackDown, calling into question Heyman's allegiances and refusing to leave until Brock Lesnar met him there so he could whoop him for the second night in a row. Lesnar did come out and basically caused such a scene. It was unbelievable. Obliterating the Usos, manhandling everybody with crew members and stars, all taking out Roman as well. And then this went on for a very long time. Then we see Adam Pearce indefinitely suspending Lesnar for endangering the well-being of the WWE crew, which of course Brock responded with an F5. And we're just hearing now, coming off Survivor Series, that looks like the suspension may be coming up sooner or later. What do you think of this to write Brock off TV for a little while?
I mean, I kind of expected it. We all know that Brock doesn't go full time when it comes to WWE. And I also kind of was wondering to myself, are they going to start this feud with Roman now? Because I doubt that they would want a feud like this between Roman and Brock to kind of be this later half of the year, when they probably could do so much with it either at Royal Rumble or even leading on to WrestleMania. So it didn't come as a shock to me with what came as a result of it. However, the best part was when Brock Lesnar just stared down Cesaro. I had never been so excited to want to see two men wrestle, but now, at least at one point in my lifetime, please, can someone give me Brock Lesnar versus Cesaro? I will happily pay money for that.
I think without doubt that was a match I would watch, and two of my favourites faced off as McIntyre destroyed Sami Zayn, who accepted an open challenge. But then again, Sami deserves it for changing his entry. That is one of the most catchiest themes. Why would you do that?
I don't know, but I really hope he goes back to it because I genuinely missed his music when he was coming out and I could hear it. I was like, what is this? Where is Sammy's music? I'm not into it. I disapprove. Down.
Exactly. They fucked up.
In the words of Simon Miller, I'm giving it a down.
Well, the thing is, they've ruined Nakamura's entrance. They've ruined Sami Zayn's entrance now. Bobby Roode's. It's like any good thing, you know. Anyway,
I mean, they kind of ruined Becky Lynch's as well with that god-awful graphic of her.
Well, we see Woods receiving his cloak and scepter, finally his crown. He said his reign would be fair and offered the fans in which get the opportunity to hear the King's gospel. And Kingston led the fans in chants and Woods paraded with his new outfit. Kingston flapped his cloak for him as fans cheered on the conquering babyface. It was good to see Woods get his moment in the sun and finally crown the King because it meant so much to him.
Definitely, and as well, just having Kofi be the one to do it. There's something sentimental about it, especially because, a few years ago when it was Kofi who won the title, Xavier Woods and Biggie were just bigging that up so much. So it's so nice to see all of them be each other's hype men.
Yeah, I think without that we see Mansoor beat Ali again. After the match, we see introductions to new faces like Rich Holland, Elia, Humberto Carrillo, Angle Garza, and Sheamus. Then we see Hit Row make its SmackDown debut. Promos from Swerve Scott, Adonis B-Fab Top Dollar, and from there they squashed Dustin Law and Daniel Williams. As we've talked about on the live shows and previous as well, Monty and myself, every time we seem to have a pod, there seems to be massive. What were your thoughts on Hit Row? Because obviously with NXT Update, I was a huge fan and I was so shocked
Definitely.
When they got released.
Yeah, I mean, I think the shock initially came from seeing B-Fab released not even a week before. So I was kind of shocked then because, out of everyone, they got rid of just the female in the group, which I thought was really strange. But then, hearing a week later that the rest of Hit Row have also now been let go, I just thought that was a real bitch move. And the reason why I say that is because I know that they were only called up for one reason and one reason only, so that they all automatically have that 90-day non-compete clause. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks for them. I just know that they have got so much talent that I'm hoping the whole faction will be picked up by AEW. And now I say by AEW, and that is predominantly because I am watching that show. I would like to still see them. But I also can just imagine the type of matches we could get between B-Fab and Jade, or B-Fab and Nyla Rose. And that's just, focusing on her. The type of matches that the three members of Hit Row, Swerve Scott, Adonis, and forgotten the other one's name. All three of them could have such great matches, and considering we've got so many triples or trios tags in AEW, I feel like AEW will be the perfect company for them to go to. It just sucks with this whole 90-day non-compete clause.
Yeah, I think we had that Top Dollar, or as he probably be called, Big Money, or something like this. But like I said, with Swerve, there is something about him that I've seen where I can't keep my eyes off him when he makes his entrance. He's just a star. And there's a fantastic documentary about called The Wrestlers a few years ago, where they see Swerve wrestling like death matches and stuff like this. And he's saying he's learning different styles and going around, so he can do submission, he can do high flying, he can do these certain things. And
he's just got a lot of swagger to him, doesn't he?
He's just
like natural swagger.
Yeah.
It kind of commands your attention when he's coming out. I just really am gutted because, do you know what? Even seeing him against the likes of Matt Sydal could be really, really great. Or even Darby Allin, even against CM Punk, I think he's got so much talent. I doubt that he'll stay, off of the wrestling scene for long.
Yeah, well, like I said, without that, and it is a shame. And then to close out the show, we had the weird title belt exchange between Becky Lynch and Charlotte, where Charlotte dropped the women's title, and of course Deville and Becky Lynch apparently wanted to fight her afterwards as well. Is this a real story? Because obviously with the build-up to Survivor Series as well, when the commentators mentioning it, I start thinking to myself, are they working? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think when it first initially happened, I thought like this was sort of like a real thing. But I think as the weeks have gone on, I've just kind of slowly but surely just kind of leaned more towards thinking that this is maybe just a work. It was very awkward and uncomfortable. So I think that whole exchange wasn't actually meant to take place. And I think a genuine argument happened. But I think that they hashed things out really quickly, and I think they just decided to capitalize on the fact that most people noticed that this was like an ongoing issue, and they just kind of turned it into a work.
It's a work shoot type thing, which is probably the most confusing thing as a wrestling fan. I always remember Brett and Shaw. It's a work shoot. It's like, what the fuck?
It's like what is going on here right now? Are they besties or are they not?
Yeah, that's basically it's a real situation that they turn full of storylines as well. We'll move on to Raw on October 25th, and Sonya Deville revealed that there would be a ladder match in the main event between Rollins, Mysterio, Owens and Balor for the number one contendership. We see Ziggler and Rude defeating the Street Profits and Alpha Academy. They get shot at the titles later. Zelina Vega kicked off her reign as Queen of the Ring by vowing to be Queen that is beautiful, generous and feared. She called on everyone to hail her, but Doudrop disappeared. But Zelina managed to grab a scepter and blast Doudrop to beat her in a match. It's nice to see new faces in the women's division, actually. And then Lynch and Bianca faced off. Blair just getting better. This was a main event level segment. Priest defeated T-Bar via disqualification. Carmella beat Morgan. I mean, they're doing this on SmackDown, Raw, I suppose. And then Keith Bearcat Lee made his debut Monday night against Cedric Alexander. What are your thoughts? I mean, like I said, Keith Lee, dropping the ball with Keith Lee. How do you do that?
Oh, God. I think Keith Lee is probably the one superstar. Actually, no, one of, let me rephrase that, one of the superstars that has probably left me most devastated. First of all, you end such an epic run with him in NXT to call him up early, just to do nothing with him, to then give him a nickname of Bearcat, which doesn't even make sense. I know we've talked about that before, but it still doesn't make sense, and I don't like it. Just to then all of a sudden, like, let him go. I'm so gutted. I honestly really, really hope to see him in a wrestling capacity soon, and I don't care what promotion it is, but I will watch it once he's actually signed somewhere. So I really hope that this is just a temporary thing for him, and that he'll be back on TV at some point.
I just think it's crazy. Anybody that kind of just watched WWE with their pay-per-views would have seen, like, you know, takeovers with Keith Lee, debuting, beating Randy Orton, and then just nothing. It's not Karrion Kross and Keith Lee's fault that the booking is terrible and they can't come up. But they don't even have to come up with characters. Just use.
Look at how bad they ruined Karrion Kross just before then letting him go as well. They absolutely ruined him. Like, Keith Lee and Karrion Kross are two of the best prime examples of how much WWE just fucked it up royally. And because they didn't know how to unfuck this up, they decided, let's just let them go.
Well, the thing
honestly, I've never wanted to shout "you fucked up" so badly before in front of, like, Vince McMahon's face.
It is the equivalent of releasing Isaac Yankem and the Ringmaster. They're not working out. You know, the guys that became the legends still rely on today, and it's crazy to think that a little bit of repackaging. You know, it's just WWE. You run out of excuses because you don't want to be kind of Ultimate One level of hatred, but after all, it is kind of, you know, if you give your mate a car and he keeps, you know, he crashes a car and he keeps crashing, you shouldn't be driving a car, or I shouldn't be giving it to you. And I just feel I've got this weird relationship with WWE of like, oh, I need to watch it, but I really dislike it. And we're going to see that as we get to Survivor Series as well.
Oh my gosh, let's go.
Well, we have to get through Raw and SmackDown because Theory beat. I didn't mind it. Let's see how they drop the ball with him. RK Bro defeated Rude and Ziggler. I mean, RK Bro are consistently good on Raw. I cannot believe I'm saying it, but they are entertaining, you got to admit.
Yeah, I mean, they are entertaining, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I know. I never thought our hatred for Matt Riddle. And then the main event, Seth Rollins survived the chaos, physicality, and brutality of the Fatal 4-Way to earn a shot at Biggie's WWE Championship. For me, though, this is kind of booking it easy. Just make it a ladder match. We had a ladder match on NXT the same week, and look at the punishment these superstars are taking. I've mentioned AEW. You know, put them in a ladder match, and people like Kevin Owens are going to put their body on the line. And this is like Owens, you know, Ambrose was before the end. You know, the similarities between the two is really scary. It was great, but unnecessary.
Yeah.
So anyway, we move on to SmackDown, the 29th, and of course a boring Charlotte Flair promo, and then Shotzi challenger, and of course Charlotte beats Shotzi, and then a frustrated Shotzi attacked Banks to turn heel, because of course Shotzi was actually getting a babyface reaction, so that's what you want to do, turn them heel, you see. Anyway, we see Adam Pearce, indefinite suspension, fining Brock Lesnar $1 million. And then, probably the only gold that we get on SmackDown every now and again, Kayla Braxton caught up with Paul Heyman to ask how Brock might respond, to which Heyman got animated before realising that Braxton got one over on Paul. They need to be a sitcom, didn't they? They need to do something together.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's pure entertainment there. I think that is probably one of the things that does work for WWE.
There's not, but we're going to try and...
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of an AEW show. Rather than picking up the negatives, we're going to try and find some positive.
Yeah, basically. We've got the positivity hat here. It's just knowing when the right time to put it on it.
Fair play. Well, one of my favourites, Drew McIntyre, was in action, which is a positive, of course. And he destroyed Mustafa Ali, and then Ali basically accusing fans of rooting against him because of his name. Ali has said WWE hasn't let him do a few things, but I think with this day and age, I don't know if this is the kind of right way to go with Mustafa Ali, because he's just so fucking talented as well, you know?
He is. He's again another wasted treasure. He kind of sits alongside Cesaro for me in terms of if you actually just let him loose, then I guarantee you he'd probably have people like stood out of their seats, you know. And I just think that he had the potential to go far and get pushed real quick. And I hate it when the officials do that, where they like cancel a push and then they'll just, you know,
Yep.
try to make you forget about that wrestler. Is actually really disappointing to the wrestler, because you know that they've got the talent there, but you're just not able to see it all because they're limited.
Well, it is annoying, but we see new Xavier Woods declaring Kingston worthy of the hand of King and become a Sir. But the Usos erupt and set up the main event. We get a holiday-themed trick or street fight. If I see another trick or fucking street fight, it'll be too soon. Honestly, that's the only problem with watching 9 wrestling promoters. You get 9 trickle fucking street fights, and you kind of think there's only so much you could do with a pumpkin. You know?
Well, I mean, like, I just literally wish they would stop calling it a street fight when you're not even in the street. Back in the Attitude Era, if you go back and watch street fights, they are out in the freaking street having a fight. Like, that's fine if you can't do that nowadays. Like, you know, there's loads of different rules and regulations nowadays. But don't call it a street fight then. Just call it a full count anywhere fight or anything like that.
Well, it's horrible. We just had one in NXT as well. And Nakamura being pinned is just... It's a dark day. Even not as dark as Mandy Rose being NXT Women's Champion, but we are getting to that level if we're not careful. The latest chapter, Naomi and Sonya Deville was written as well, as she booked herself a special referee for a match against Baszler. The course of numbers advantage proves too much. Deville skewed a fast count that cost, and Baszler choked Naomi out with the clutch to stand tall. They're still going with this. Are you still feeling the same as you have done, or are you kind of thinking Naomi's going to get a big moment?
I think this is leading to a big moment. I think there's definitely way too much being put on this whole sort of like bullying aspect. I'm calling it bullying because if I don't know what else to call it, really, like, you know, they're picking on her. Sonya mostly. I think the thing that I just find gutting about this, I think we've discussed this before, is even if this is all just to kind of build up Naomi, which I hope it is, which would be good for her. At the same time, I just think they're really booking Shayna in such a bad way. Shayna should be a beast. Shayna should be probably the one that Naomi is going to work up to winning the title off of, because Shayna's running through everyone, and, you know, like, Naomi would have like this redemption and then could go and take the title off her. But I'm getting definitely a lot more disappointed. We'll discuss Shayna more once we get into the Survivor Series discussion. But I just think she's being booked all wrong, and it's really disappointing to see. I think that she's got a lot of talent, but I also think that she's been booked so weak lately. That just seeing her kind of as Sonya's little lackey does nothing for me.
I would have to agree with you there. The main event, the New Day beat the Usos, and these two teams are incapable of a bad match. There was no Reigns all show as well. Move on to Raw, 1st November. We started off with what was basically the main event, with Becky Lynch putting the women's title on the line against Belair. We see Lynch manage to rip the padding off the top turnbuckles, then Belair's head into it. Shoulder challenge up with a handful of tights for the win. This match, though, was pay-per-view worthy. And Bianca Belair is maybe one of the few wrestlers, every time I see her, maybe a bit like Dante Martin, actually, just getting better week in, week out.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There's just kind of like you said, it felt like a pay-per-view event type match, really. definitely had like the audience kind of all getting excited. You could hear how loud they were, and it just kind of feeds off of you from the TV.
I think that really, really good stuff to start the show. Unfortunately, we still had the other 2.5 hours, but we see Theory versus Mysterio. Referee disqualified Ray after Dom slapped Theory in the face. I mean, Austin looks all right. This is not going to help. We had Rollins, Biggie, Owens confab, and Owens versus Biggie was set for the main event. Carmella and Zelina faced off with Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash in single action. Zelina got the win with a code red. And of course, with only one team, this makes sense as well to kind of book the women's division that they had. Balor beat Gable in, do you know what? An excellently executed match. A finished game when Gable on top hit a superplex of Balor, turned it into a cradle. Always good to see. The Dirty Dogs versus the Street Profits next. We see pin right over the ring post to take out both men. I'm starting to believe he can actually fly, because the height he gets each time is just incredible.
Definitely. I mean, he's definitely up there with like who did we say from AEW? Dante, with like the height that he can get to in the air. It's just actually ridiculous. I'd love to see, both of them sort of perform it alongside one another so that I could really tell which one actually goes higher.
Honestly, I'm not sure which. Almost start to come to the ring, and the attraction allows Ziggler to steal the win. We get pretty much the same from last week. Almost over there, actually. And Damien Priest versus T-Bar. No DQ. The new Damien Priest, who gets really, really angry. To be fair, in this match, T-Bar went through a table and it broke into like 1,000 pieces. It's not often you see a table just like smashed to smithereens. Priest
got what I miss? I miss hearing him be called Dominic Dijakovic. I actually miss that. I feel like he should get rid of this T-Bar name now. He's not with the group anymore. So why are you keeping the name?
Well, because Vince is in the back and go, what's the guy's name? And you say Dominic Dijakovic, and he's like, let's keep it T-Bar. That's nice and simple. So we can understand.
Yeah. I bet you Vince actually came up with it.
Yeah, well, the kendo sticks left a mark. Said T-Bar looked great, and obviously we've seen in matches with Keith Lee and NXT as well. He is a different class. And the main event, Biggie versus Owens. Rollins hit Biggie with a cheap shot while the ref had his back turned. Owens made the cover, but Biggie reversed into crucifix for the win. Biggie accused Owens of being in cahoots with Rollins, which is one of my favourite words. KO grabbed the mic and refuted. He said it was all Rollins' fault, and he challenged him to a match next week. And Biggie didn't accept the apology, actually hit a big ending to finish it. Well, if Owens is going out, at least he can go out with a bang and a heel turn. I mean, that's the best way to go for him, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you there.
All right now. And then 5th of November, Roman started a show, of course, recapping the week and picking out Jimmy Uso actually ate the pin in that match, and Uso vowed to make the New Day acknowledge him in Tribal Chief. If Woods wins, the Bloodline must genuflect to the King of the Ring. Reigns accepted the challenge on behalf of his cousin. So this is what SmackDown is now. It's any time like releases or something bad happens, you stick Roman Reigns out for a half hour promo with something to do with you. So don't get me wrong, it's entertaining, but after a while, if he's got no one to face, what's the point?
Yeah, I think that's one of the sort of downsides of Survivor Series is that, because it's brand versus brand, you're never gonna like have a full real feud with any of the champions that are currently in reign with the other champion. So they don't really kind of focus on like who next opponents will be and stuff. So I think that there was a lack of person for Roman to feud with. I think they did well with kind of getting them to feud with the New Day. But it did feel kind of filler,
I think we're at that. I think this is the problem that we're going to see. We see Naomi versus Baszler next, and we see Baszler fighting out of the Kirifuda clutch Rolling Baszler up for the victory. Or sorry, fault. DeVille appeared and announced that since Naomi grabbed the rope, it did a break. And such a pitfall didn't count. Sure, the match restarted and Baszler quickly applied the clutch for the win. So again, continuation of the story. It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but then again, yeah, like Shayna just looked weak. She got roll up pinned. And the only reason why she won after that is because the bully Sonya gave her another chance. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
This is where it, like, I want to actually enjoy this for what I'm hoping that it is leading up to, which is like a Naomi push. However, you can't help but feel sorry for who they've kind of put in to kind of keep knocking Naomi down, because Shayna is just coming across looking weak as hell. Shayna came in from NXT and her first like sort of debut onto Raw, she made it very clear right there and then that she takes orders from no one. And then you actually put her teamed up with Nia Jax, who had just recently taken out two of her best friends. And like since then, you've just like they've just made her look so weak, and I'm so disappointed because the Queen of Hearts deserves more. Queen of Spades, sorry, deserves more.
Well, we see a great promo by Shotzi, actually, aside we didn't see to her on NXT, saying she's going to run over anyone on her path. She doesn't need a tank to do it. We then see the random team Cesaro, man, you know, why not, battling Los Lotharios, Garza and Carrillo. Of course, the Hills won. I mean, we talked about it a minute ago. Poor Cesaro. As for the Farios, I mean, matching outfits, just don't give them masks, because we have that with Los Matadores. So you don't want to... Drew had an open challenge answered by Ricochet with a slap. Of course, he must be watching NXT UK. McIntyre caught him mid-air with a Claymore for the win. I could watch these two guys all day long. I think these are my top two wrestlers probably in the world.
Surprisingly, I think it just worked so well. I didn't think much going into this match, to be honest, but I cannot believe how much I enjoyed it. I think that Ricochet is highly underrated, and I mean, we all know how good Drew McIntyre is anyway. But this match, yeah, as you said, it's got to be up there in terms of one of my favorites.
And then the main event would Jimmy Uso, distracted by Kingston, caused the referee to miss a roll-up from Uso, and Woods scored a roll-up of his own for the win. After the match, Uso teased kneeling for Woods, but Reigns appeared from nowhere and rocked the winner with a Superman punch. The Bloodline delivered a 3-2 beatdown that saw the Usos target Kingston's knees. The trio stood tall to close out the show. Not a bad main event, I don't think. And then on to Raw, 8th of November, Owens apologised to Biggie because he capitalised on interference from Seth Rollins last week, and Biggie does not care. Rollins questioned Owens and his character and saying that as long as his name's Kevin Owens, he would stab you in the back. And then this was alright because throughout the night, Owens was going to people like not Jeff Hardy, but Rey Mysterio, people like that, and asking if what his expected opinion was, because obviously we've seen Owen kind of development, and we know he can be a Pete, you know.
But you know what? He plays it so well that I don't change. Just continue being like that. When that saying that you love to hate someone. I really love to hate Seth's character because he just does it so well.
It is really, really good stuff at this moment in time. Then Ziggler, Rude, Styles, and Omos defeated the Street Profits, RK Bro. All was actually quite good. And the little things I quite like. He'd thrown his shirt in the crowd and given the fan who caught it a wink. And, it might not mean much. I always found winking quite reassuring. But that fan will have that moment for the rest of their lives now,
Yeah, definitely. It's going to stick with them forever.
Yeah, I think it's lovely. Anyway, Zig gets wind. Fans get the RKO. Felt like a Survivor Series team, actually. More Ray drama and being taken off the team. Or they could stay on if Dom could beat Bobby Lashley. He didn't. Gable took on Biggie next. Again, another really good hard-hitting match. The strength of Gable. Speaking of comparisons, I wouldn't mind seeing Gable versus Johnny Hungy. I think those two guys would have a rip of a match.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be such a great match. I think both their personalities as well. I could see it would just turn into like a competition, trying to each one trying to like outdo the other one, whether or not it's like a posing contest or if it's a push-up contest. I could just see them doing some random stuff in the ring that would just work really well.
Well, Biggie won the match. Otis went face to face with him, indicating that we're going to have that soon. We get lots of 24/7 nonsense, but Corey Graves did win the title, only for Byron Saxton to get the pin. Obviously, he lost it, but the one good thing is I've moaned about Graves putting Saxton down constantly on commentary, finally getting one up on him, which brought a smile to my face.
Sorry?
And then when we had Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley versus Belair versus Carmella versus Zelina, determine the next challenger. The EST delivered the KOD, but Doudrop pulled her out, preventing her from and turning heel in the process. Morgan stopped Carmella from winning, delivered a crucifix roll-up for the victory. Really good stuff. Liv Morgan as number one contender, does that work for you?
Do you know what? It's different, and I actually was kind of happy to see it was someone other than, the sort of like, I'd say the top four women that are constantly put in the title picture. It was just kind of nice and refreshing. So I really didn't mind it. And I also feel a little frustrated for Liv because, throughout the past, year and a half, she's lost like her two team members and then just has continuously been overlooked as like a female wrestler who could be deemed as potential competition. So I was very pleased with the outcome and it being someone new.
Yeah, I think it's always good to see freshness. And speaking of fresh, Austin Theory arrived just before the main event to try and get a selfie with Biggie, only to have the phone smacked away. Fair play to Biggie on that one. And the Owens versus Rollins. These two guys had an absolutely great match. And we see both men going to look like they're going to get counted out. Rollins getting in and Owens just banging into Big E, maybe inadvertently or not. And after the match, an emotional, frustrated Owens attacked Big E, kicking him in the face, sending him to the steps. He followed with a powerbomb the apron for agents and officials attempted to get him away. This was really enjoyable. Like I said, the Kevin Owens that we kind of need. But the other thing about a heel, and I always remember Michael Hayes saying, is that a heel's got to believe what they did and what their kind of, the belief in themselves and to be right. If you look at Owens' story and what's happened to him, you kind of think, yeah, I agree with him. He is right to kind of be,
Yeah, definitely. Anyone in his position would end up kind of reacting like that. But again, if you actually look back at the history of Kevin Owens and even the history of Kevin Owens with the New Day, this isn't surprising at all to see him sort of like just do the betrayal. So for me, it wasn't shock when I saw it happen, but I was definitely like, there's the Kevin Owens we all know,
But I think it's because Biggie didn't want to trust him originally that made Owens go, no, let me be who you think I am. And I know it's...
Well, yeah, exactly. But, can you blame Biggie for being like that, considering he has already screwed him over before?
I think we can agree it's actually not bad storytelling by WWE, and...
yeah.
A bit of positive. See, positive. November 12th, SmackDown. We see the Survivor Series team, which is Banks, Aliyah, Naomi, teaming up to battle Charlotte and Natalya. Of course, we see a mass multi-person brawl leading into the match. And it was actually quite good. And Aliyah scoring the roll-up. 7 years in development. In Breaking Ground on the W Network, I think released in 2015, you see her wrestling as learning the ropes. And I've been following Aliyah because her real name is one of my favourite things to say.
What's that?
Nymph.
Her real name is...
Yep. MPOOH. Nymph.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a great name.
I know.
I don't know. What would you nickname? How would you nickname her?
You just would be like, Nymph. Nymph, come here, Nymph. Just works.
Well, I mean, I've got to admit to you, though, I was a little bit skeptical hearing that Aliyah was being called up because the one thing I was thinking was, is this too early for her? Are they going to ruin her like they kind of do with every call-up from NXT lately? However, I am holding judgment on this because we haven't seen much yet. So, I'm holding off in these next few months and kind of open to seeing what they try to do with her.
I think without doubt, she's one more on SmackDown now. She's one more on SmackDown than in NXT, so I suppose that, again, is a positive for her. But then Sonya Deville feigned excitement and then said she is no longer part of Team SmackDown. Oh, boo. Paul Heyman told Kayla Braxton that if Roman Reigns cannot make King Woods bend the knee, the trouble she promises that he'll bend him knee himself. If he doesn't, he could be stripped of the Universal title, claiming it's legally binding in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Again, Rick Boogs introducing the Intercontinental Champion Nakamura for a tag team match. Why? Maybe you can explain to me. Are they using Nakamura, the Intercontinental Champion, in tag team and trying to put Rick Boogs over it? I just don't get it.
I don't know why he's still partnered with it. Don't get me wrong. I know that he has excessive musical instrument talent, but to be honest, they've kind of ruined the aspect that was the greatness of Shinsuke's entrance. And the reason why I say that they've ruined it with that was because, do you remember that epic, was it WrestleMania entrance with the violinist that came out and was walking down with Shinsuke Nakamura, and you could just hear that violin go, and it was just like on a different level. It wasn't an electric guitar. It wasn't, sort of like really rock hard and rock heavy. It was actually a masterpiece, and you had like this violinist who looked great and was just hitting all of the notes, and it just gave you those goosebumps. And I feel like they've just turned his entrance into a novelty, and it's just sad to see.
It's horrible. I hate it. I hate how they've treated Nakamura, especially from the Rumble win.
The only thing that actually gets me hype about him now, and I must admit, like, I never saw this coming, but is Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee gets so excited hearing Shinsuke's entrance. I absolutely love his energy when he stood on the actual commentator's desk, rocking it out, dancing to it and stuff. That's probably the only thing that actually brings a bit of entertainment to it now, because I do feel like the electric guitar just ruins what Nakamura's song is. And it was never done with an electric guitar originally. It was a violin. So I don't understand why we're continuously like having him come out with that. It was nice for a while, but I don't think that it's needed.
No, and the Intercontinental Champion lost in a tag match, which again is just terrible. Charlotte Boring.
Stop having your champions lose, WWE. Okay, if they're champions, don't let them get pinned.
Charlotte...
Like, it was in a tag match. He could have had Rick Booth like pin. So why was the champion pin? It just makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Charlotte Boring promo. Tony Storm interrupted. Mind her, she hasn't yet to defend the women's title. We see King Woods accepting Reigns' challenge. And a lot of other kind of stuff we're going to skip through. Jeff Hardy and Sami Zayn squared off, with the loser being kicked off the brand. And of course, Sami Zayn did lose. But it's an enjoyable match, and it's nice to see Jeff getting a nice crowd reaction for what's hopefully one last, I won't say main event run, but, top level.
Yeah, I get you. And I thought it was a good match overall as well. It is surprising, but in a good way, a nice, surprisingly good way, that Jeff still gets the same sort of amount of hype that he still does.
It's crazy that there is just something inherently likable the fans interact with. And it's weird when you think about it.
He's still kind of like a relatable type of wrestler, even to the 21st century.
Well, you think about
type of kids.
I'm about to say, when you think about the booking and the treatment that he's had to still kind of get genuine interaction,
it
says a lot about the guy, as opposed to if you look at everybody else. Then the main event, Reigns face King Woods. We see Reigns collide with a turnbuckle around Woods to launch himself with a springboard elbow drop. But just as the official countered, the Usos hit the ring and attacked the King. They rocked him with steel steps, knocking him over the announce table. And Reigns took a knee only for the Usos to place Woods' crown on him. The Bloodline stood tall to close out the show. It was a fun main event. But Reigns wearing a show did remind me of the Disney's Robin Hood. When we see...
No way, because now that's all I'm going to see. Why are you ruining Roman for me? Don't.
It's just that look. I just...
Oh my gosh. I'm blaming you for this now. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, we move on. November 15th, Raw, and Biggie called out Owens. He didn't have to wait long. Biggie dared him to come down, and Owens said no, he's just going to walk away. We then see the Usos attack Biggie, only for Riddle to run down to help even the odds, leading to a match. And then Rollins coming and getting involved with Randy Orton, leading to another match, which WWE loved doing at this moment in time. Rollins pinned Riddle in the end. Belair beat Tamina. Lynch and Morgan faced off. Oh, this is good, but was it needed on this show? The Go Home to Survivor Series, which will have nothing to do with Lynch versus Liv Morgan.
Probably not.
Well, as I said, I don't know if it was a rhetorical question. It was definitely no. Profits.
I did not watch that. So, yeah, I'm just a little bit shocked about it, as you were.
Profits beat Alpha Academy. Zelina beat Nikki Ash. Ripley beat Carmella. Owens versus Balor was again,
Wait, did you just say that, like, the tag champs had singles matches, but then the two that were supposed to be going against each other, Becky and Liv, were in a tag match?
No, they didn't even have a match. They just faced off, which again...
Oh, they just faced off.
Was not needed, but Owens and Balor did face each other. Owens avoided the coup de grace, hit a massive powerbomb, and then hit the stunner for the win. So good news, Owens won. Bad news, Balor lost again.
It's just like that again, and I just need to actually do an appreciation shout out to Finn Balor, because Finn, every time he's in the ring, just amazes people with how with his high flying moves, with how he can interact with different individual wrestlers, and his work ethic. He works so hard, and yet, gosh, he's kind of going on a losing streak, isn't he?
Yep. All the big matches, as we've seen. But hopefully he can turn that round at Survivor Series.
Let's see.
We'll see. Almost Styles beat Dirty Dogs. Main event, Lashley versus Ray. And Lashley killed Rey Mysterio. And basically said, you're off, let yourself into the match. And Austin Theory attacked Dom. So Pierce named him as Ray's replacement, of course. And then SmackDown Go Home show. The Usos kicking off the show. Claiming sent a message loudly and clearly to Big E. Roman Reigns, of course, got brown-nosed by Paul Heyman. Reigns wanted Woods to come out. Woods interrupted him, saying material things don't make the king. And, of course, Reigns was doing his best impression. And then, of course, he got beaten down as they damaged the cloak, throne, and scepter. And then, as looks on, Reigns squashed the crown. Poor Xavier Woods. Didn't even last a month.
No, practically not. And then what? Like, Roman is now crowned the king, or was this just kind of a one-off?
Like I said, it didn't make it. I felt
it seems like they forgot about it come Survivor Series.
Yeah, it's just like, look, you're no longer king. Like, it's done now, or you are king, and we'll just move on. We'll find out on SmackDown which way they're going to go. We see Ricochet versus Zai versus Sheamus versus Mahal. Winner gets into the Survivor Series team. This was actually a really good match. We see Ricochet hitting a 630 splash to Mahal. Flattered him with bro kicks. Cesaro interrupted, and then good old Ridge Holland, who Pat McAfee thinks is Irish, distracted Ricochet enough for the Sheamus to get the win. And again, Ricochet had the crowd behind him in this. What about if they did something organically and actually decide to push him a little bit?
Do we really think that's going to happen? You know what? Okay, my negative hat is coming out here, but only because every time we think, oh, this person's going to get a push, they then don't.
Or get released, as we're finding out this year, It's crazy to think there's been more wrestlers released this year in WWE than there are employed at Impact Wrestling, which again is just mind-boggling when you think about it. We see Sonya Deville and, of course, cackling backstage, she should be. Aliyah teaming up with, or Nymph, as we'll call her, teaming up with Naomi. Baszler and Natalia. The Queen of Hearts pin Natalia and referee Asia Smith execute the fast count, robbing the baby faces of the match. Again, just the same old now, isn't it? It's just doing the same thing week in, week out. Jeff Hardy beat Moss. Drew was Jeff's buddy in this. Nakamura defeated Angle. That was quick. Shotzi versus Banks. This was actually a really good match. The boss with a bank statement with her legs because, of course, her arm was worked on during it. What do you think of this one?
I didn't actually get a chance to see it.
How dare you? Shotzi and Banks was really, really good
sorry,
stuff.
I did hear about it. But I didn't get a chance to see it. I did watch the highlights of it, and I saw that there was like an altercation after they had to like shake hands or something.
Well, after the match, Deville clearly expecting the combatants to shake hands, and they did, only for Banks to deliver the back and leave Shotzi lying. And she talked to Deville afterwards, so at least someone has got one up on Sonya Deville times. And then King Woods made his way to the ring to call out Roman Reigns. As they were both waiting there, we see Jimmy thrown out the entranceway, and the same then with Jay. Biggie's music played, and he came down to brawl with Reigns, which is again a really good exchange. The head of the table.
Yeah, I did.
You did see, but what are your thoughts on this?
So I did see that that whole part, and I definitely enjoyed it a lot. I thought, the crowd just got lit the minute they could hear Biggie's music, and you kind of could just tell that it was coming when you saw the first Uso get lobbed out. It was quite funny, actually. I was thinking about taking a short video of the Usos being chucked out one after the other, and I was going to caption it something like, "Oh, this takes me back to the times when my sister and I would get sent to my father's office when in trouble."
It must be more of it's like Fresh Prince with Jazzy Jeff just getting thrown out.
Yeah, it was practically my sister and I with my dad whenever we were in trouble. Although, he maybe didn't go to the extremes that Biggie went to.
No, of course not. No, but that was Raw and Smackdown, so really not worth it. But, dear listener, you wonder why we go through that. Well, at this moment in time, as we are nearly the end of November, the WNR podcast has covered every episode of Raw and SmackDown leading us to this point. Whether we do come December is a different matter entirely. But like I said, with Jaxie on board, of course, part of the team, Monty, we will see a few changes in the new year as well. But one thing that doesn't change and hasn't changed since 1987, no, it's not me, it is Survivor Series. And this year, of course, 2021, we started November 21st with the Kickoff. Of course, Caleb Braxton hosted the Kickoff show and was joined by Jerry Lawler, Booker T, Kevin Patrick and Peter Rosenberg. We see an AEW chant break out at one point. That would be a precursor for the rest of the night. We see Sasha Banks declaring herself captain of Team SmackDown and telling the better team, and they will not lose, and she praised all of them apart from Shotzi. And then we find out that Randy Orton will break the record for most pay-per-view matches in WWE history tonight, and being one match shy of having the most matches on Raw. Do you know who he's beaten for the record of most pay-per-view matches?
I really was about to cut you in and say, who was it before? Wait, let me guess. I'm going to go with Ric Flair.
No, again, when I first heard it and I thought, oh, is it someone like Undertaker or Triple H? But it's
Shawn Michaels.
No, I'll tell you who it is. It's Kane. It's Kane. Kane is the man.
Wow.
They keep trotting them out for pay-per-view matches every night, like Rumbles, didn't they now? So even then.
That is very true. That is very true. He probably has racked up quite a lot of Royal Rumble appearances. Do we know who's the person who's been like the most shown person in Royal Rumble? That would be interesting.
Well, who's been in the Royal Rumble? I mean, Ziggler's been in the last like 16 or something like that. I think he's got a record for like most Rumble matches. But I tell you something like that.
Let's definitely look these stats up for when we get to Royal Rumble season.
I think for the live show, I think we found something there for the Rumble. We're going to look at stats on the live show. Of course, we will bring you that as well. But like I said, back to Survivor Series. Footage airing on The Rock's debut is Rocky Maivia at Survivor Series 25 years earlier, and then 24 and a half years later getting released due to budget cuts. No, we don't, but obviously we get US Champion Damien Priest versus Intercontinental Champion fucking Nakamura is his right title. Jimmy Smith, Pat McAfee, Byron Saxton. Of course, Boogs played Nakamura to the ring. The Archer Infantry rocked Nakamura clothesline, followed by a Falcon Arrow. And the artist countered the chokeslam with his knee, but fell to south of heaven. The IC champ kicked out too low and avoided the reckoning by countering with an armbar. Boogs again interrupted the proceedings with a guitar, prompting Priest to break the instrument over his knee. He blasted the hype man with the remnants of the instrument, then wiped out Nakamura, drawing a DQ. The US champ stormed off with his anger and frustration, again getting the best of him. What were your thoughts on this match, and what are your thoughts on what they're doing with Damien Priest?
Well, I thought the match was actually really good. I think it started off strong, then it dipped. Because for me, I was firstly pissed off to actually even see that this was on the pre-show. Surely this should have been on the Survivor Series actual pay-per-view in order for their win or loss to actually count towards the final count. So I was really baffled, really, just to see what the hell they were doing putting this on the pre-show. But the ending pissed me off a bit. I didn't feel like there was any need for it, and I feel like, Rick Boogs just did not need to be a distraction as he was. I get that he's kind of been like that before, but then when this is brand versus brand, I really do think that they should be clamping down on the whole distraction or DQs or count outs that come with it. So I was quite disappointed by the end of this match because I thought that both men were coming across quite well. That being said, when it comes to Damien Priest, I'm not sure is the right answer to give you.
It's like...
It's hard because they spent the past year trying to make him a babyface, putting him with the likes of Bad Bunny and everything like that, and going against The Miz and Morrison consistently. And I'm not sure that Rick Boogs playing on his guitar is a good enough reason for him to have turned heel. So I'm just going to have to see what comes out of this. I'm not entirely sure what to make of whether or not this is a good move for Damien Priest or not. What do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
It's like, what's the stuff you like about Priest? Well, I like the Archer Infantry gimmick. I like what he can do, maybe work a little bit more bow and arrow stuff in there. I like his kind of coolness, like, reminds me of kind of Big Daddy called Diesel with a nice next big guy who's kind of like a babyface actually rooted for. And WWE gone, let's take all of that away and make him a generic angry man. And it's like...
Basically that.
It is, and you've tried it with Cross, you've tried it with Keith Lee. You know, the thing is, you had a monster like Rusev, and you got rid of him, and if no one else can do what he done, we should have released him then. You know, if you wanted a monster, don't take away Priest, because Priest, like I said, has done nothing on Raw since Sheamus, pretty much. And you thinking, like you said, this on Kickoff. You know, this has been... No wonder no one gives a shit about the mid-card titles. You can ask someone who's US champion and Intercontinental champ, and you'll be there for fucking 5 or 10 minutes going, who is it?
Exactly.
Because your Intercontinental champion is in tag team matches, US champion's doing fuck all on Raw. I told you I was going to rant, so I apologise.
Yeah, but it is so true. You know, you want to give honest and good feedback when you're discussing, wrestling events, which is exactly why we came together, because we love these events. But it's entirely frustrating to watch month in, month out, when they're not showing the right amount of respect towards a belt, towards a title that's supposed to actually mean something. You know, they easily could have had the battle royale on the pre-show, and I think that would have worked way better. First of all, there was loads of men in that battle royale. So I think it would have actually done really well putting it on the pre-show and actually hyping up the audience for what is to come. But it also would have made sense considering all they did with it is like just no real like storyline. There was nothing that we could take away from the battle royale. So why was it on the main event rather than the pre-show? Do you see what I mean? I would have swapped both those matches over because it makes no sense as to why two champions were on the pre-show when this is a brand versus brand pay-per-view. Like their win-loss doesn't count because it was on the pre-show.
But the thing is the whole who puts a battle royal in the middle of the fucking card? A battle royal.
Right?
What's that got to do with fucking? I'm going to get onto it in a minute. But what's it got to do with Survivor Series?
Honestly, I'm so glad you said this. It has it's got no meaning to the series. So why the fuck is it mid card on that pay per view? Why was it not the pre-show? I'm sorry, but there was no reason for it being on the main event.
I have a go at Tony Khan. Yeah, Tony Khan, and it's like, oh, the way you book the card around, you do certain things like this. But it's like, the way the main event, the Charlotte and Lynch starting the show, the Battle Royal plump there, and like I said, I'll get onto that. But anyway, talk about saying, I wish I could be into WWE as much as Pat McAfee is. You know, but then again,
it's fun.
But then again, I wish I was getting paid what Pat was getting from WWE. Maybe I would be like that. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
And again, motherfucking green shirt guy ruining wrestling. I'm gonna tell
WWE. He there again?
He's fucking there. I saw him straight away. Tell WWE officials he cheated on them. Right bang in the middle of my fucking screen. But anyway, about the match, as we're talking about the US title in the championship match. I love Nakamura. Watching this makes me love Naka, even with the come on and everything that he does. It's just a shame. Boogs, they're trying to make Boogs a bigger star. Anyway.
I know because of like Nakamura can get anyone hyped off of doing that. So it's just
So shit finish. What are you going to score out of 5?
I'm going to give it a 3, and it really is because of the shit finish.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3 3/4 because when these two guys, if they just let these two guys wrestle without outside distractions, anything like that, it boggles the mind. Kevin Owens crashed the panel's desk after the match, and he said he had some things to get off his chest. He said the elimination match was an opportunity for him to redeem himself, to show everyone he is the man that he is. A limo was shown arriving backstage, and Vince McMahon exited the limo, cheered by Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, and a group of wrestlers. One didn't released. Vince showed off an egg-shaped golden item. Apparently, this is the only group of wrestlers I had left backstage. And then a video package spotlighted the drama, Velvet Bloodline and New Day. Kickoff was a massive waste apart from the match. And then we get onto the main show. And it opened with a video package that meant a lot of footage from The Rock's Red Notice. Now, I like The Rock, and I probably will watch, but let me fucking don't ram it down my throat. All right, and say no, man. And the guy, the opening voice guy said, "In normal open." No, you're meant to be a normal one. Don't kind of mock what you're doing yourself and saying this is shit. It's a trailer for Red Notice that you're trying to make me think is build up. Long gone the days of good build ups, and this is an advertisement.
Yep. Yeah.
I excused it when we had zombies. And, we were sat and I said, no, well, this is a kind of one-off type of thing and whatever. I cannot excuse, and especially what happens later as well. I cannot excuse it.
But, first of all, can we just talk real quick, yeah? Why would anyone be stood out in a parking lot waiting for their boss to turn up so that they can applaud him when they get out, when he gets out of the car? What? Can real talk? Who does that? I'm actually rubbing my eyebrow with how screwed up this whole scene was, and what made it even worse was that Vince made them stop clapping long enough for him to get this goddamn golden egg out of the car for them to just clap that. Right, listen, real talk, real quick. I'm not watching this Red Notice if it's all to do with this goddamn fucking egg. Like, literally, if I wanted to know, like, and have dramas surrounding a golden fucking egg, I would have put on the fourth fucking Harry Potter movie. Do you understand? Moaning Myrtle knows how to deal with a fucking golden egg. So I don't give a shit who stole his egg. I don't even know what the fuck it had to do with the pay-per-view. Nothing apart from advertising not only The Rock but this movie, but it was just poorly done. And I don't understand why. I remember back in the Attitude Era where they used to actually have these sorts of promos. They used to, it was like, I still remember the whole Dude, Where's My Car movie that came out, and they had Ashton Kutcher and that turn up on the show, and it was just a simple backstage segment of, no, the movie's called Dude, Where's My Car? Yes, so dude, what happened to your car? No, that's what the movie's called. Like that sort of thing. That is a good promo. What the fuck this was, I don't know. I think Vince watched Harry Potter, and I think he was like, this would be a great idea. The Rock has got a golden egg too. I'll just be like Moaning Myrtle, bring it to work with me.
This will get butts in seats, I think, and then Michael Cole welcomed viewers to the show, noted there was 15,100 fans in attendance. I take your word for it. And then the video package set up the Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair match. And of course, like I said, champion versus champion. And the entrances here were fantastic. I will say quickly, the credit to Lynch, I think it's Scarlet Witch inspired out that to the ring. And when you think she had a baby recently, and I wouldn't be able to get, so I will say she did look incredible,
She really reminded me of Britney Spears in that one music video where Britney's in all red spandex as well. And she really reminded me of that too. I cannot remember the life of me what music video it was, but I just remember if you actually just look up like Britney Spears,
is it Toxic or is it no? We're going to be here guessing Britney Spears songs. I remember the Toxic video, but that's different reasons.
Yeah, no, I remember the Toxic video for I remember it for those reasons too. But it was one of her older songs. It wasn't like her first song where she's a school kid. But it was one of the other ones. Oh, I think it was called Drive Me Crazy. It might have been that one. Or no, Oops, I Did It Again. That one. I think it's that music video. And she's dressed all in red spandex stuff. Now, Becky had her legs out, which is quite nice. It was a bit of a change and stuff. But that was the look. That was the vibe I got straight away.
Well, we see Big Time Bex and the Queen waste little time alone in each other, blasting each other with hard-hitting strikes. And what a fun to start it was as well. We see Charlotte controlling Lynch, and then Lynch managed to send Flair off the top rope into the guardrail, and it appeared Charlotte tweaked her knee backside a series of strikes before Flair dropped her opponent with a clothesline. The leads looked pretty on point as well, probably laid in. The Queen powerbomb on the way out of a disarmer, sent Lynch into the middle of the turnbuckle moments later and proceeded to talk trash. Talk shit, Becky, talk your shit. The Raw title fought back and delivered a middle rope, leg drop, the back of an opponent's head, as this is awesome spilled from the stands. Flair rocked the man with a big boot for another near fall. Lynch answered with inverted DDT and delivered a manhandle slam. Flair draped her foot on the bottom rope, and the action intensified with Flair utilising a trademark top rope moonsault, and then back inside she the ropes for added leverage on a roll-up. Referee caught it. Lynch reversed, used the ropes herself, and won the match undetected. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I surprisingly really liked this match. And you're gonna be even more shocked. But I felt like I was more Team Charlotte than I was Team Becky in this match. And I can't even tell why, because I don't particularly like Charlotte. But for some reason, I know, I really don't understand what was going on with me. But I was in this match, and I could hear everyone going, "Let's go, Becky!" And I was like, for some reason, I turned around to my sister, and I was like, why are they cheering Becky? Why are they cheering? Isn't she supposed to be a heel? Why are they cheering her right now? And my sister was just like, I would have thought you wouldn't have an issue with this because they're not cheering for Charlotte. And I was like, yeah, I'm really shocked, but I'm getting more irked at them cheering for Becky. don't know what's going on with me there.
No, that's you might have to go to the doctors. It doesn't. It doesn't.
I need to get seen too.
Doctor, there's a problem. What's your problem? I'm starting to like Charlotte. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. You need to take these pills twice a week. In all
it's called Flair syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. You take it or you start wooing. You know, you got to be careful. First it's wooing, and then it's doing the little strap, and then it's putting people in figure fours. Anyway, this should have been the main event. There were shades of Brett and Sean here, where, you know, commentary was a bit of a real life and turned it into a work, but you can tell, it looks like they don't like each other. I'm going to say something now, and it will surprise you, but for me, this may be the best ever Survivor Series opening match in the history of the...
I have to agree with you there. In terms of the opener, I think this was the best one. I think that both women gave it their all, and I think that they both looked great in the ring. It was kind of like, 50-50 in terms of who was going to actually come out as the winner, to be honest. But yeah, I think it was a very strong opening match.
The simple thing that works with this, and this is what they're trying to do since kind of Rock and Austin, or whatever it is, it's two women who... unfortunately, you can't just have one champion. Obviously, you've got two champions, but they both want to be number one. And when they're in ring with each other, they feel they have to push each other and push the other to be as good and better than that. And that is what creates magic. And I think that is what we've seen. And how many times have we seen Lynch versus Charlotte? And again, they delivered. And anybody that questioned Becky Lynch since her return, I think her pay-per-view matches and the matches on Raw, she's proved she's probably better than she ever has been.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Definitely, this has been such a great thing for her.
I think without doubt. Great stuff. So slightly in the middle. So we're going to score that out of 5, Len.
Do you know what? I'm going to give it a 4 because I think that the wrestling was really good. The messing was sloppy. The ending was messy and sloppy. But I really enjoyed the match up until then. It was kind of like, again, like Shinsuke Nakamura's match, like really good until the ending where just silliness came out of it. So I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Just because I thought it was really, really good stuff. But like I said, the ending is just, the roll-up has now become more and more of a joke. And the referee checking Charlotte, not checking Lynch, right after is insubordination. I'm sorry, but there's no other word for it. Like I said, we get more highlights of The Rock. Drew McIntyre video package aired. Why? I'm Drew's biggest fan. I thought, what was the point? They just needed to fill time.
There. It was just there.
I went, all right, well, no, fine. NXT War Games.
Watch it and go a bit random.
It's like, yeah, put Drew on. We've not released him yet. Fuck it. Up next, Team Raw, which is Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, and Austin Theory versus Team SmackDown, Drew McIntyre, King Woods, Jeff Hardy, Happy Corbin, and Sheamus in a Survivor Series elimination match. Before we get into the match, there was talk about backstage running out of time during the event, which was, again, 3.5 hours. You wonder maybe why, when the men's entrances for this match was 13 fucking minutes. How can it be that long?
Wasn't it to do with the entrances? Like their entrances were just
13 minutes.
Long.
13 minutes for the entrance, not for the match.
Yeah,
just for the entrances. You add the match well, so it's 45 minutes. But how do they allow the entrance to go on for that long? You can.
I mean, do you know in previous ones, didn't they just kind of come out to a Team Raw or Team SmackDown?
Well, they ended up doing it in the women's match right at the end, which I think they realised that was the kind of way to go, rather than giving everybody a full entrance and keep playing the music.
Well, if they wanted to give everyone their entrances, then maybe don't do a Drew McIntyre fucking package.
But even then, you need to cut out there's like 70 minutes of entrances and promos in this paper, which again, so WWE. But then again, it's easier to watch because I do skip the adverts and stuff like that the majority of the time. Especially when I go, I've seen it on Raw and Smackdown, but I've seen it on Kickoff. But I don't need to see it for the kind of 4th time. But anyway, men's elimination match, and Owens, disenfranchised after everyone thought he was a lowlife, walked out of his teammates and was counted out. After the kickoff and saying he was going to prove himself to everybody, kind of made sense, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Don't get me wrong. It makes sense for Kevin to do this, but right at the very beginning, after we just watched all of you like come out and take ages coming out, and then straight away he just ups and leaves. I would have like, if they were gonna do that, I would have left him to tag in halfway through the match, and then him be like, do you know what? Fuck all y'all. I don't like any of you on my team, so why am I gonna stay? You know, just do it that way. I think it just pissed me off right from the very beginning of the match, and I didn't really want that to happen because I was so hyped for it. But I mean, how else are you going to be when straight up when it's a 5-on-5 elimination match and you're straight up seeing someone just walk out because they can't be bothered? You know, I think it would have just come across better if they'd have just had him stood there in the corner waiting to be tagged, and then when he did eventually get tagged in, because he was forced tagged in rather than reaching at his hand out to be tagged in. He could actually just like stand there in the ring and be like, why am I actually doing this? And then just leave.
Another thing that confused me as well, I completely agree with you there. Another thing that confused me was who was on Raw and who was on SmackDown. Especially, I know people going a month after the and it's like, I'm pretty sure he's on Raw, but I'm not 100%. Like, I'm glad a little bit of red, a little bit of blue kind of makes me think, oh, there we go. You know, we see Balor delivering the coup de grace on Corbin to eliminate him, so it's for all. Team Raw worked on Hardy, but got the tag to Xavier Woods, who of course would come in like a house on fire. Rollins provided a distraction and Lashley downward and sent him packing with a hurt lock. Yeah, so after all that talk about the King, they treat him like this. Why do they hate us?
I have no idea. And not only that, but that hurt lock looked so devastating. He wouldn't even let go. It took both Jeff Hardy and Sheamus to come in and actually pry Xavier out of his arms. Like, this man is being booked exactly how Shayna Baszler should be being booked for the women's championship, for the women's sort of run and things. Like, honestly, he comes across so much of a beast. It's impressive to see. But at the same time, with what you're about to go through as well, it then is also disappointing at the same time, because you see him do something devastating like that and you're thinking, wow, Bobby Lashley's got this one. But I'll let you carry on.
Well, listen, I was devastated about Woods because I thought, oh, that's where they've had him now. Just throw away in a tag match, even though he's the King.
Longer.
Yeah, or do something. You know, like anything. Yeah. This is the thing.
Yeah, but at least get an elimination out. You know?
And then I thought, oh, they can right the wrong of WrestleMania and have McIntyre beat Lashley in a kind of big type match, even though the Survivor Series men's match doesn't really matter. And instead, it was the old double count out by the ref, which just fucking infuriated me as well.
Oh, me too. Me too. It was just it reminded me of the fact that, like, it really just reminded me, okay, so we've had a distraction and disqualification in the pre-show match, and then we kind of had like a silly pin held by the rope type one with Becky's, and now we're getting Kevin Owens walking out and a double count out. Can we just have like a normal fucking match?
You would think, but unfortunately not. We see McIntyre rocking.
I've so much in a pay-per-view.
we haven't before. We have let go. It's the last pay-per-view of the year. Fuck it. Let's go.
Exactly.
Let's go. Bang.
All of our fucks. All of our fucks are given on this pay-per-view. Okay.
I tell you, I've got what the shit coming up next, because we see Balor eliminated by Sheamus. What the fuck did Balor do? Did he take someone's lunch? Like,
I don't know, but I feel like he's done something to piss everyone off, because he just didn't really even get a chance to properly shine in that match.
It just makes me laugh. After a while, you have to laugh at. You can't. You give yourself a brain tumor worrying. We see Sheamus and Hardy demonstrating a team an ability to work together, actually. But Sheamus fell prey to a roll-up from Theory. Yes, the dreaded roll-up. Sheamus eliminated Raw 2-1. A frustrated Sheamus blows partner, and of course showing that he is a heel. Rollins looks to take advantage, but Hardy's still in the match. Then delivered a Swanton Bomb to Theory to eliminate him. And just when you think maybe they're going to give Hardy the big victory, knees up for the Swanton Bomb and the Stomp, and Rollins is your sole survivor. Team Raw wins. I mean, before I get your thoughts, Austin Theory at the beginning of the match getting teamed up by Sheamus, the closest thing we have seen to Daniel Puder in the Raw Rumble. That is the closest of a rookie taking his lumps from those two. I didn't care for this match. What were your thoughts?
Practically the same. I think right from the very beginning of having Kevin Owens walk out, I think it set the tone for just how things were going to go. And then by the time it got to the double count out from between Drew and Bobby Lashley, that I just really was itching to see. The minute they both tagged in, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is when shit is going to get good. And instead they were like, we're not going to give you that. We'll just count them out instead. I think this match was extremely disappointing. And I just think that the wrong people were pinned at the wrong time. Yeah.
It's like there's stakes. There's no stakes to the match. There's no brand loyalty. Why did Rollins even need this win? He's already #1 contender. If you could have had Austin Theory starting his own Randy Orton run at Survivor Series, you could have had Jeff Hardy picking up a win at a pay-per-view.
You could have had Drew McIntyre slay everyone and come out on top and prove that he should definitely still be considered for a title run, especially now that he's on the same program as the likes of Roman Reigns. Do you know how great those two would have been a feud? And this could have been the start of solidifying Drew's winning streak. I don't know. I really kind of had it in my mind that Drew was going to be the winner. And I am really, I must admit, I'm extremely disappointed with how everything went in this match. Don't get me wrong, Seth Rollins is amazing, but like you said, he did not need this win.
And the thing is as well, is in this match we get told a few things. So Drew will get pinned with a count out, even though it's bollocks. But Balor and Woods know their place in the card. You're not nothing. No matter what the fans say.
I mean, Baron Corbin was the first out. What does that go and show you?
They just go, look, this is the people. We might try with Jeff, but after a while,
I really wouldn't have even minded if Jeff got that. I remember he was a part of I can't remember what year it was, but it was a Survivor Series where it ended up being both Jeff and Triple H who were the last two on their team, and they ended up winning it by working together and stuff. And Jeff, Triple H actually put Jeff over, and Jeff got the final pin for the whole thing, and it got put over so well then. So to see him years later, and he at that moment in time was the lone survivor. Do you know how good a storytelling that would have been? He's survived being a two-man team for the Survivor Series in the past, and now he's managed to surpass that and survive by himself. They could have even told that type of story, and yet they didn't. They're sitting on so many good ideas that they just flushed down the toilet. It's so highly infuriating.
And I'll tell you something, if next year, I know this is the 25th anniversary of Rock this year, but next year, if they don't celebrate the 20th anniversary of Rico shouting, God damn it, Jeff, at Madison Square Garden, I will not be happy, because that's my Survivor Series moments that I'll always remember, young kid and hearing go, why is he saying that for during the match, kind of working out, that's not going to wait thing that happens. And look at the career Jeff has had since then as well, and it's nice seeing Jeff being used again. And the team up with Shane was probably the only highlight. We're going to score out of 5.
Unfortunately, I am judging this match on all of the shenanigans that came to play in this. So I'm going to give it a 3.
I'm going to give it 3 3/4 because I don't know why anymore. I don't
more generous than
I am. It's just, it's the action in the ring wasn't bad. I just wasn't anything emotionally invested into it. It could have been. It's just time after a while because you kind of know which way it's going to go. Then we see a security guard stood in front of Vince McMahon's dressing room. Reigns showed up and stared the security guard down. And he moved aside. Reigns knocked on the door and entered, then shook hands with Vince, who had his golden egg in a case on his desk. Vince spoke of Rock starting 25 years ago. Yeah, we know Vince. And he said the egg was not a prop, I'm sure. He said it's worth 100 million. And Reigns said almost as much as my next contract. That's probably the only saving grace from this whole segment.
Yeah, I mean, I chuckled at that because I just thought to myself, you just said that in front of the big boss as well. Like, the big boss is probably thinking, who the fuck's paying you that? You know? But again, all of this surrounding this stupid egg, I'm sorry, but every time I looked at it, all I got was Moaning Myrtle in my head. So in my eyes, I'm just like, all I've taken away from this whole stuff to do with the egg is that Vince McMahon is a Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, but the thing is, look at the character development of Moaning Myrtle. Look at the change that she went through during the story, and it's like that is lacking in WWE now. So please,
yeah.
Myrtle,
Myrtle, please give Vince some good character change advice, okay? We know you got it in you. Do it and take one for the team.
Vince just, you know he's going into the shower next time.
Go meet Vince in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. We get a 25-man Royal, a Battle Royal celebrating the 25th anniversary of The Rock's debut, who of course debuted in a traditional Survivor Series match, not even a fucking Battle Royal. And what Battle Royal experience did The Rock have? Winning the Rumble that got eliminated by the Hurricane in 2003. Why not have a traditional Survivor Series match with a young rookie and call it that? Oh wait, you had the chance with Austin Theory and you didn't fucking do it. Anyway, the people in this match were Dawkins, Ford, Ziggler, Rude, Angle, Humberto, T-Bar, Truth, Gulak, Aziz, Cruz, Alexander, Benjamin, Otis, Gable, Mahal, Shanky, Eric, Ivan, Mansoor, Cesaro, Styles, Miss Ricochet and Zayn. Not that it fucking mattered, but at least Sammy and Ricochet got an entry because it also doubled down as a Pizza Hut commercial. When did pay-per-view become adverts, and when did whole matches and segments get dedicated? Not only the Red Notice, but now I'm watching Pizza.
Yeah, like as soon as I was curious, I was like, I genuinely must have misheard when when the commentators were talking about pizza as like Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins were coming out. So it was only when they had it in their hand, and I was like, what is that in their hand? And then they ran over to like the main one that was just pulling out the drawers, and I was like, are you fucking serious? This whole fucking battle royale is just based over a fucking pizza. Like, are you actually kidding me? This is where I go back to the discussion that I just said earlier, where it's like, back then when there was like an advert, they roped it in to like, a backstage segment at work. They could have easily just had R-Truth picking up the triple-decked pizza that Almost wanted backstage and then Almost chasing him around for it. They could have just done that. There was no need to have a full-on fucking battle royale over a pizza.
And the thing is Almost has got to be careful because we don't want him starting the old Big Show diet. And if he's in too many Pizza Hut matches, then we might have another problem on our hands. But, I mean, talk about ad revenue. Are they just slapping us in the face? 100 million profit in a year, releasing 80 wrestlers, and then raking the money in, not only for Red Notice still that you got, but Pizza Hut. Splat bang in the middle of a fucking pay-per-view. A Big Four event.
Yeah, you can't. You had just released like all these wrestlers, and for what reason? When you're making so much money from having this fucking battle royale advertised Pizza Hut,
this is a combination.
Pizza Hut could have paid their wages.
This is a combination. I said the wages paid there. This is a combination of shit and bollocks. I was trying to work out, like, is this shit or is it just bollocks? Like, I still can't. It should never have been on the pay-per-view, not even on the kickoff. Just never existed. I mean, almost with 12 eliminations, you could have done this on Raw. The best bit.
Say, you know what? They could have done that on Raw the next day. Like, especially if they wanted to sort of like dedicate it to like The Rock or whatever, they could have still done that on Raw. And guess what? Raw would have been actually entertaining having something like that on there. But it did nothing for anyone on this pay-per-view. It just literally was just there.
It was terrible. best bit, and I am being very liberal with my words, was AJ being stretched by Omos and Aziz, which again did make me chuckle. But so the Omos with 12 eliminations. We're going to score that out of 5.
I'm going to give it a 2. I'm really sorry. I just didn't really, again, apart from that one little funny moment with Styles being kind of used as like a tug of war rope, like I didn't really care much for the wrestling in it. I didn't really, I used it as a toilet break sort of thing. So yeah, 2.
Well, now I'm going to give it a 3. It wasn't very good. And then the Raw Tag Team champions, Randy Orton and Riddle versus SmackDown Tag Team Champions Jimmy and Jey Uso. We get a very spirited start, and the Twins cut the ring off, isolating Riddle in their corners in hopes of Dean Narco Bro a loss. On the same night, Orton was celebrating his historic 177th pay-per-view match. The original Bro weathered the storm and tagged the Viper in the bout. Orton exploded into the match, but the concentrated efforts of the Hills sent him to the arena floor. The Usos refocused their attention on Riddle apart. However, he managed to send Jey into the ring post, only for Jimmy to rock him with a super kick. As Jimmy climbed the ropes and came off with a splash, he soared right into the RKO. A blind tag and covered his score at the win team. What were your thoughts on this?
I mean, this for me was an amazing match. This just kind of like reminded me why I love tag team wrestling. You know, I felt like the Usos just are incredible to watch day in, day out. You know, that their chemistry, because of their bond and their sibling relationship, just works so well, and you can just see the trust there between both of them. I even got to admit that I was really enjoying watching like the teamwork come out of Riddle and Brandy. I honestly thought that they were like, you know, arguing or being built up to eventually splitting up. But watching the way that they worked the other night, it just kind of really showed me, okay, damn, this is why they're a tag team. You know, this is why they're the champions. It definitely, this was probably like the first match where it literally felt like it was champions versus champions, brand versus brand. And it was overall a good competition.
This is the match that needs to go on first to set the pace for the night if they're going to do Raw versus SmackDown or something like this. And again, he didn't thrown after the Battle Royal. And I've bashed Orton before, but credit to him. He looks more motivated than he has done in a very long time. Like you said, the teaming up with Riddle. Yes, we know what's going to happen eventually, but it's one of the only good things on Raw that I'm actually laughing between the interactions as well. And I'll tell you what, that RKO out of nowhere, fuck me, fair
incredible
play by Jimmy.
I didn't even see it coming, you know. I kind of was like, I joked at the beginning and was like, oh, I wonder how creative Randy's going to get trying to do an RKO. But I didn't think he'd actually manage to do it. Or I was thinking that they might get creative and like have him accidentally RKO Matt Riddle or something like that. But yeah, the delivery was incredible. Randy's timing for all of his random RKOs that come out of nowhere are just brilliant, and this is no exception.
Without a doubt. Are we going to score that out of 5?
I'm going to give that like a 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give that a 4. Really, really good stuff. It's a shame. What do you know my overall thoughts? And I know we're going to get into that after the main event. But I was thinking next year at Survivor Series, what they might have to do is just unification matches, because the Intercontinental US aren't doing enough on its own. Have just one champion to go after. You know, put the roster. I mean, the way they're releasing talent, the draft is not a non-thing, you know, and just have that and think how concentrated and work on the tag team division, because yeah, you got the Usos and RK Bro, but when you look after it, the strength in depth is not really there, and it kind of not worries me. It's even like, you know, we talk about Royal Rumble. If I ask you now, because I know we're both WWE fans, like, in your head, what would be kind of dream WrestleMania match? For me, I haven't really got any. You know, there's not anything that kind of stands out, and I think, oh, I can't wait for them to do this. And I think that's WWE's fault, because I used to be full of excitement. You know?
Yeah, I definitely think that would be something that you'd have to give me a while to think about it, you know?
But it's exactly, but that's the problem. It's not like, oh, we want to see him and him. There's nothing there. It's like with AEW, you go, well, I can't wait for Adam Cole and, you know, Adam Page and Kenny Omega to be involved there, and it's just with WWE, it's like, there's nothing really that bring CM Punk back. Oh shit, we can't, can we? No, it's not. It's like Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, I suppose, my kind of match. That even then, it's I don't know. At the moment, I think WWE finds himself in a really interesting place, and it doesn't help when we have more segments about golden eggs, because the golden egg was stolen. In case you didn't know, the golden egg is from The Rock's Red Notice movie, which I think they might have mentioned once or twice. A yearly comic book vignette from SmackDown was shown, and then I even I've actually forgotten about the Team Raw women's matchup. That just shows how much I'm paying attention. Belair, Ripley, Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina versus Team SmackDown, Banks, Shotzi, Baszler, Natalya, Toni Storm. We get straight into it. We see distractions surrounding Carmella's mask allows Storm to roll up for the first elimination of the match. We see a bit of dissension between Shotzi and Banks threatening, but then we see the WrestleMania opponents captivating the fans with an exchange that saw the EST of WWE trapped in a Banks statement. Belair fought out and delivered a fall-away slam. The competitors picked up where they left off on wrestling's grandest stage for the EST launched teammate Queen Zelina at Banks. After Baszler and Shotzi refused to tag in, Storm tagged her partner, proceeded to do away with Zelina, so SmackDown 5-3 up. Morgan entered the ring for Raw and scored an impressive fall by pinning Storm following Oblivion. Baszler applied a Kirifuda to down Morgan. Shotzi followed with a splash. Banks eliminated following a headbutt, so it's 4-2. Numbers disadvantage for Raw became even worse as Baszler dropped Ripley, leaving Belair on her own against 4 original 5 SmackDown competitors. The dissension with the Brew Balance team finally proved costly. Shotzi, Baszler, and Natalya prevented Banks from entering the ring for the referee's 10 count, leading to her elimination. Natalya applied a sharpshooter, but Belair fought out of it and got the roll up. And then she eliminated Baszler with the KOD, finally hitting the KOD on Shots win as well. This match for me was ruined a certain way. First off, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, there was a few things that ruined it for me too. I actually thought that there was some good back and forth between different female wrestlers, but I also think that there was not enough time for certain female wrestlers to really kind of get a shine, So I'm just gonna actually say it. The CM Punk chant pissed me off, and it pissed me off mainly because we're in a female match, we're in a women's match. Why the fuck are you shouting for CM Punk? If you're gonna do that, wait for it to be in a men's match. And even so, what the fuck are you doing at a WWE event if you're all just going to shout for CM Punk? He's on AEW. He's on the other brand. Just go there. These haggles, I get it. If fans, there's some fans out there that when they, pay to have certain content and that content is continuously letting them down, they have every right to show their annoyance. And if it means shouting CM Punk because they know Vince is backstage, fine, fair enough. But did you have to do it during the women's match? It was a bit uncalled for. I just felt like that was quite cruel. So I wasn't impressed with that. I also just wasn't impressed with, yet again, other silly shenanigans, including Sasha Banks' own team pulling her out and then her getting counted out because they want to save Sasha Banks from being pinned again as well. Again, for me, I think that if they were going to do this type of match, don't get me wrong, the outcome, Bianca should have definitely won it. I'm very pleased that she won it. At the same time, you could have had Bianca on her team slaying everyone on the opposite team, and you could have had Shayna on the other team slaying everyone else from the opposite team, and then those two come to blows. Do you know how beautiful that would be, say, come next year, whether it be SummerSlam, WrestleMania, or the next Survivor Series, whenever these two get a chance to meet up again to then have a round two? You could have done so much more storytelling with this match, and all they did was just make it a novelty. It literally came off more as a novelty match than the men's match did, and the men's match wasn't even any better,
It's just right. No, like I said, with the match, it's just I'm just so disappointed. Like, it's all about the CM Punk chances. Firstly, about the match. Seeing Ripley and Storm on opposing sides at Survivor Series was nice. Seeing as they both started NXT UK and Storm actually beat Ripley for the championship. So, at least with NXT UK, they are getting development there. And, of course, with Doudrop as well, the women's division is around. I would watch Banks Belair all day as well. That's a combination that they just get each other. How the fuck did SmackDown lose this? Like, but you know, like you think about the 4-on-1. Like, how did they do this? Like, your manager needs to have a look. And how far?
Yeah.
How far do you have to be in the ring to stop a count out? Because Banks was like halfway across the ring when she got pulled out. And you're thinking, usually that stops the count by now, but I guess we're playing a different game.
But she was kind of partly in, so like her whole top
body,
her whole toe was underneath. So I don't know why she was counted out, but I also just don't understand the reasoning why they all just kept pulling her out. They all clearly know that like she was being counted out. The ref is right there, so don't you can't hear, because if we, not even in the audience but in the TV, can hear the ref fucking counting, then you guys can hear the ref counting. So it's clear that and evident that no woman on the SmackDown team wanted to win apart from Sasha Banks. That's how it kind of came across.
Honestly, it was.
Again, that being said, I'm not disappointed with the outcome, but I am disappointed with the booking of some of the women, and I also just don't appreciate the disrespect that both Zelina Vega and Carmella got having the CM Punk chat. No, it was Zelina Vega and Liv Morgan, I think, were in the ring.
Well,
when that was,
it
just was uncalled for. If it was like, you know, other, like maybe another female wrestler chanting, I don't think I would have been as offended. But just doing CM Punk chants during a female women's match, like, oh.
It's a section of people that think they're cool. And the thing is, what makes London and the O2 such a great crowd, and usually the British wrestling as well, is that we add to the action in the ring. So we're chanting for the wrestlers that are there, or cheering the move, or sing along to the entrance to kind of build a reaction, trying to get ourselves over. And the biggest cunt thing to do is a Mexican fucking wave during a match as well, where if I was a performer in the ring, I would just fucking and say, you are all not interested, and we're putting our bodies on the line. And like I said, a women's match, you could say, you know, oh, it's the booking and certain things like this, but the treatment from apparently WWE's home of New York to treat him like this shows that the Revolution hasn't really changed, you know, hasn't really evolved that much.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's any of the women's fault. It literally is the placement on the match card. They should have been much earlier, definitely way before this stupid battle royale that had happened. I also think that it doesn't really help when there are quite a lot of WWE fans rebelling against all of these ridiculous finishers. Like, at best, we get 50-50 booking on a consistent basis with WWE, and you know, it's gotten to a point now where their fans actually just find it ridiculous and a joke. So that even though I can understand certain reasoning behind being fed up as a WWE fan, at the same time, that is no reason to disrespect the wrestlers that are in the ring actually giving it their all just to entertain you.
Yeah, it's bollocks. It really made me annoyed. But it made me, you know, and think, I'm glad I got a podcast. I'm glad we've got a voice. You know, I'm glad that we do it to actually say, you know, to people, don't be such a cunt. You know, like it's people say, oh, I can cheer what I fucking want. Well, don't go to wrestling if you want to do that. Go to darts.
Exactly.
You know, go somewhere and do it.
If you want CM Punk, he's on a show now. Go to AEW. He's not at WWE. Like, don't go to a WWE event and then just like, even if you are doing it to get back at Vince and you just want to do it to piss Vince off, guess what you're doing? You're pissing off all the wrestlers that are like actually, you know, that not at fault and just trying to do their job so that they don't lose it because they have a freaking tyrant for a boss right now. And that there's more added pressure when you're shouting CM Punk during their match. It's just an asshole thing to do. Just don't do it. Don't go to the event if you want to go and see CM Punk. Wait until AEW turns up and then go to see that. It's not hard.
And the thing is, the best thing, if you're in a crowd, you want to make real change, and I mean real change, and you want a wrestler who thinks getting pushed more or whatever it is more than other ones. Silence is a killer. No reaction, you know, and WWE will go, shit, something's not right, because they're not reacting whatsoever.
Exactly. Do you know what? That would have been even better if they'd have just done that, because then at least you know, right, okay, they're making a stand for something. Instead, all you did there was actually tell me that you guys are all still pissed off with Vince, and that's where you're shouting CM Punk.
Yeah.
So,
well, we're going to score this match out of 5.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to give it a 3.5. No, do you know what? I'll give it a 3 3/4 because I'm happy that Bianca won. I feel like she should have been the only one on her team to have survived. I would have just like booked it a bit different.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 3/4 out of 5 as well. It's not the talent's fault that the crowd are arseholes, you know, I suppose. So, we see Heyman being told Brock Lesnar's suspension is no longer indefinite. Brandon Bobby Lashley video package, of course. And then the main event, Universal Champion Roman Reigns versus the WWE Champion Biggie in a match. And it's weird to think that 4 years ago at Survivor Series, the New Day faced the Shield. And now, of course, these two facing off for the World Championship. And that is how wrestling should work.
Yeah, theoretically.
Yeah. But we're going to get to the match because Big E started fast, but Reigns slowed the pace and worked his opponent over, stopping to talk to the Brooklyn fans along the way. The WWE Champion though fought back down on the Tribal Chief and delivered a big splash for calling for the big ending. Reigns evaded it but found himself caught in a stretch muffler as Big E looked to silence the head of the table. Reigns missed the Superman punch and Big E dodged. He could not dodge the Orang as Reigns scored a 2 count. He finally did add the Superman punch and another to leave the W Champion laying. He pounded to the crowd and set up the spear, but Big E confronted him and delivered the same moves driving the table to the floor. Reigns answered with spear of his own for a dramatic near fall. You don't deserve to be in the same ring as me. He applied the guillotine, but Big E powered him up and delivered a big ending. The Tribal Chief needed to grab the ropes to break the pin. On the floor, Reigns launched himself off the ring steps with a Superman punch. He had another spear moments after kicking a previously injured knee of his opponent and got the pinfall victory. What were your thoughts on this?
Okay, well, this was probably my favourite match of the night. I thought it was really, really good. The counters that Big E kept on coming back with every time Roman had like a new sort of move for him was just brilliant. There was a moment, I think, when Roman like delivered like 3 Superman punches in a row, and every time Big E would like hit the mat from one of those punches, he was like slapping himself awake and hitting the floor just to make sure that he was not going to get instantly pinned from that. And I absolutely loved it. Like it really got my blood pumping, and it really, really reminded me of this anime movie called Demon Slayer. It's a great movie. Definitely recommend watching it if you haven't. But there's a moment where the main character is facing the big baddie, and the big baddie has like this power to kind of put you into your dreams and making you think that is reality. And so the way that the main character is actually like waking himself up is in his dream world. He's killing himself to wake him up, to jolt him awake. Now, even though that's not the same, it still reminded me of the determination in Big E, the determination to not go down from this Superman punch and to do it 3 times. It was just so impressive. And Big E overall is just such a great, lovable, fun personality. To see him get really serious is when you could even tell the whole audience were getting serious, you know. And it was just so incredible to watch. I really think he should have won that match. That being said, I think that Roman winning also is like another good way to go. I think it was like a double-edged sword. You could go with either or. But I couldn't even be disappointed with Big E not winning because I felt like the match itself was just brilliant.
I think the point you're referring to as well, I think the camera work wasn't that good. They should have made more of a note, especially when Biggie stood.
They should have. Yeah.
Yeah, when he stood bang in front of Roman, we saw the back of him. You should have seen the face and, like you said, the determination to be like, you know, you run through me, but I'm going to make you work hard for it. And Reigns has this ability to kind of put his opponents over, even in defeat, of going, well, that was a tough battle. It's not his fault after they face Roman Reigns, you know? And he gives each match a big fight feel. We've spoken about it now for over a year, of course. But I felt the crowd didn't care until towards the end, when they started, you know, the big ending and the spear. That's when they came to life. And I think it took something away, because this match was very good. But maybe people thought Reigns would win or whatever it is, but it's kind of lacking that.
I did actually enjoy, like, Reigns started working up the crowd a little bit. He was saying, "Shut your mouth, Brooklyn. Shut your mouth, or I'll come in the crowd and smack your faces." He was saying all that, and I genuinely was laughing, because I was like, I can imagine Brooklyn are getting really wound up right now, having Roman telling them to shut up. So that was quite an entertaining bit, but it was after I felt like the dynamic and the shifts changed, with having more interaction from the audience after Roman had just sort of like enticed them a little bit.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
It
actually,
took them a bit of enticement to kind of start getting reactions out of them, because after that, you know, all of the counters that were happening and stuff, you know, they got "This is awesome" chants at one point, but yeah, it did really take Roman kind of heckling them a little bit and calling them out to actually start getting a bit of a reaction from them.
This is the thing, I can't remember because I watch so much wrestling. I don't know if it's an AEW. I think it might have been on Dynamite. And it's like, stop the "This is awesome" chants. Because they are becoming overused now. But I think maybe...
I think that was AEW.
I think it was, you know. But like I said, even in "This awesome" chants, it's just generic chanting. It's like, you know...
You can still just hear about having to shout "This is awesome," right?
You know, just something else. Come up with, you know, "Oh, goodness me," and clap along. Or, you know what I'm saying? They can be original with your chants.
Boring after a while. Yeah. It's boring. I mean, like, even when you look back at the Attitude Era, I don't think that there was like that many awesome chants ever. I think literally the best type of chants we got were "What?" What?
Yeah, but the thing is, the crowd was emotionally invested in every single moment and every character, especially in the Attitude Era, and all the great ones with the fans were behind him, you know. And speaking of great one, we'll get on there in a minute. What were you going to score that out of 5?
I'm going to give that a 4.5, a 4.5, or 4.5.
Because the thing is about it is that we've not done polls or predictions. Because I thought, if WWE don't care for Survivor Series, then why should we? Why should we bother with a live show or any of the, you know, the stuff like that when it doesn't matter? And the sad thing is, after the show finished, it didn't matter because it didn't.
We could easily say that Survivor Series didn't take place, and no one would miss any storylines or anything like that. Like, there was nothing to take away from this apart from the fact that someone stole Vince McMahon's golden egg.
Well, this is the thing, and
I hands down putting it down to Moaning Marshall. I think Moaning Marshall took it.
The thing that worries me though is for Big E is after this, I think he might be Omos's was first victim, because with the Omos we saw in the Battle Royal, you know it's coming soon, and is Big E?
Please don't.
Well, is Big E going to be used? I tell you, they're going to do it. They are going to do it. They are going to do it.
James, I swear, if you jinx this now and he becomes champion, I'm blaming you 100% for this. Please don't. No, please. I'm sorry. Like, don't get me wrong. He's come across like a beast. He looks incredible. He still needs a lot more training in the ring. Do not have the likes of Biggie.
You know what they're like.
No. Oh my God, I'm going to be dreading this.
And then let's not forget the end, because once Roman Reigns was celebrating in the ring and talking about himself as tribal chief. Suddenly, if you smell what The Rock is cooking hit, the crowd went electric, and on his 25th anniversary, The Rock came down to the ring and faced off with Roman Reigns in a moment that we will remember for a very long time.
Was this in your
Wait,
dream?
no, that didn't happen, did it? No, you're right. No, it should have happened, but it didn't.
That should have happened. That definitely. And do you know what? They were teasing it so much, especially having Roman do some of the rock bottoms. As soon as I saw that, I was like, he's got to be coming out. He's got to be coming out to be like, don't do my moves and stuff like that. And yet he didn't turn up. I was just like, okay, bye.
I was like, come on, you fucking arseholes. Like, I don't think I'd get away with another cunt, but like, you've had The Rock plastered all over this fucking show, and you're not even going to give us an appearance.
Yeah, like, could you not have even like Zoom called him or something? Because I swear he inducted Ken Shamrock into the Impact World of like Hall of Fame, and that was by Skyping. What? Don't you guys own Skype? I'm sorry, but are you telling me that you couldn't even get like a pre-recorded video clip of The Rock even? Like, come on, guys. What was the point on even putting this whole Survivor Series as themed as The Rock when Mans wasn't even going to turn up? It's just I don't know.
Fucking ridiculous. That's what it is, you know. And you've got that there. So we talk about match of the night. Yours was the main event. Are you happy with that?
Yep.
And mine was the opening match, not the kickoff match, Lynch versus Charlotte. Fuck that.
It would have been, I think my choice would have probably been like the tag team match between the Usos and RK Bro, but I felt like Biggie just was incredible, and I felt like Roman worked really well with him. So yeah, that kind of topped it for me.
Well, leading to that, who's your MVP?
I'm going to go with Biggie on this one. I know he didn't win, but he looked incredible. He came across incredible, and he put his all into that match, and I was just thoroughly impressed with him.
I'm going to say, well, Belair impressed me, even though the crowd didn't care of putting that performance in between SmackDown, of course. But I'm going to say Omos, because it's the first time that, for me, he was presentable. Like, I didn't mind. It wasn't smiling all the time. There was a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they were worried about the kind of Giants face-off with Aziz and Shank. They were like, we don't want it to go on for too long. Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't want to fuck it up. We don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah, that's fine. But you could have still at least had them exchanging a few blows, and then maybe some little man getting in between them, and then they both getting distracted from one another, and then just going into that. You have plenty of distractions there. So they could have at least just given us a little bit more of a tease on that, but no.
All right, last WWE pay-per-view of the year. What are you going to score it out of 10?
I hate to be a downer, but I'm going to give this a 7.5. And I think I'm being really generous.
Well, you know me, and you know how generous I can.
Oh gosh, giving it.
I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I can't.
Okay, that's good.
I can't do it. I was thought about 8, and I thought it doesn't deserve an 8. When you consider no Rock, an hour of entrances and ads galore, even adverts during fucking matches.
Yeah, and the count. Don't forget the countouts, the disqualifications,
everything.
And all the silly ending malarkeys that were involved.
I will never, ever, ever watch this Survivor Series again. The only thing from this I will watch is the Charlotte versus Lynch match. I will never watch this in entirety. It's a waste of 4.5 hours when you count the kickoff. And you know me, I love W, but you just can't. It's not even defending it. It's just reviewing what's in front of you.
Yeah, when it's just bad content, we're not going to lie to everyone. You know, this is why we do these podcasts, so that they can get our raw emotions on how we feel about what goes down and what takes place. So I'm not going to go ahead and lie and say that I enjoyed this pay-per-view when this is probably like one of the least enjoyable of the year for me.
Well, it's an excellent point. And speaking of Raw emotion. Let's just have a look at Raw quickly. As it opened with Vince McMahon talking to Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce, who might have stolen the egg. They have no clues. We see Matt Riddle dressed as Orton, which was actually funny. And like I said, I never thought to say this, but the RK Bro are consistently entertaining. And Becky Lynch, fair play, Becky Lynch. I'm a fan of yours. Calling out the crowd in Brooklyn for the treatment of the Survivor Series women's matchup as well.
Well done, Becky. I'm glad that something was said, because something needed to be said. And if anyone was going to do it, it should have been Becky.
Without a doubt. And then it was revealed that Austin Theory had stolen the egg. So McMahon...
What?
Yes, Austin Theory stole breaking news. McMahon...
Why the fuck did he steal an egg?
Well, listen to this punishment. McMahon decided to give Austin Theory a WWE title.
What?
True.
For stealing the egg?
For stealing the egg.
Oh, fuck off.
If that
I thought I was done
sense.
swearing, but that is got to be by far the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I genuinely thought it was R-Truth that stole the egg. Like, to maybe sell it on eBay or something. Like, I thought they were just going to literally say it was like R-Truth, and that they were going to find the egg, like, as a selling on eBay.
Do you know?
Like, do you know what? That would have been more entertainment than fucking Austin Theory. Like, what? Did they explain why he took the fucking egg?
No idea. And Vince ordered him. Do you know what? We've covered like maybe 12 WP pay-per-views. This is probably my favourite review that we've done. And it's been the worst show.
I mean, this has definitely got to be like the only podcast where I have referenced Harry Potter so much.
Yeah, so. If you're listening at the start, it's like, how many times Jaxie's going to say fucking Harry Potter?
Oh, I know. Oh, gosh. My swearing has been so bad for this, but that is how you know how bad a pay-per-view this was.
Like I said, it's been fun. But finally, we talk about the, in a serious note, during Raw last night, Seth Rollins was jumped by a fan. Now, it looks like Rollins didn't suffer any injury, but this is truly shocking. And Jaxie, I know you're still shocked by it now.
I just, I can't, for the life of me, understand why they think that this type of behavior is acceptable. We all, as wrestling fans, know that this is a work. We also know, as wrestling fans, at how much we can get wound up by certain decisions that are made by the higher-ups. That gives us no rights to take it out on the wrestlers and to also ruin events for not only the wrestlers, but for every other fan. Seeing this man jump the rail and actually go for Seth Rollins, it was actually terrifying to watch, because not only could this man have hurt himself, but he could have hurt a wrestler who did nothing to deserve it. It was just really surreal to watch. And if it wasn't for the fact that, Seth Rollins had actually tried to kind of keep him in a holder, then I don't even know what kind of health that this guy would have been in. He's lucky that he wasn't, one of a different wrestler that doesn't have as much restraint as Seth Rollins, because Seth could have really done some damage to him.
And the thing is, as well, you don't know if the fan's got a weapon or whatever it is. We've seen this kind of things before. And no offence to the American fans, of course, because I love our American audience, but you know, it's not just a knife you have to be worried about. And I know he gets into arena and stuff like this, but what goes through someone's head of, I want to be a part. There's been a part of the action. There's been part of the action. There's no need. And I
don't know what his reasoning for attacking Seth was, but any reason that he had for attacking Seth, it was uncalled for. It was not needed.
No, and the crowd was quite into Seth at the time, and you can see that the fat guy running round for the videos around like the entrance, so he came through near the staging area. But like you said, there's no excuse. The commentary team saw it, and they quickly cut away when they realised it actually wasn't part of the show. And it's just
he full on took him out. It was scary to watch.
Yeah, It's one of
I mean, if I was Becky, I would have been out there like a shot. Like, if anyone goes for my man, they don't understand. My partner is a lot more reserved than I am. So I am definitely sort of the louder mouth one out of the two of us. I definitely would have been out there in a heartbeat, just jumping on and taking him out. So he is lucky he didn't have Becky out there, because I'm sure that Becky would have kicked his ass.
And the thing is, as well, like I said, talk about don't try this at home. Do not think you. Talk about. I hope the fan gets banned for life now. Basically, every wrestling show you can go to, because especially with WWE, the biggest kind of wrestling company in the world, this kind of happening. It is truly shocking in 2021 and shouldn't be.
And it's very disappointing because without us even meaning to, that fan will represent all fans. You're just giving us all a bad name. Mm-hmm. If you don't like the content, if you don't like the wrestler, don't turn up to the show. End of. There is no excuse. There is no reason whatsoever for you to be jumping over and doing anything. These wrestlers actually give a lot of their time even to interact with their fans during signings. I see it all the time in America. So you guys can't actually say that you're not blessed with getting the opportunity to speak to those that you love. But how dare you try to actually ruin and interrupt a show the way you did? Who are you to actually do that and take away from not only the fans, but the wrestlers who are constantly putting their health and their bodies on the line? It was just uncalled for, and I think that was just disgusting behavior. No one expects it in any form of workplace. There's a certain level of professionalism every person should have throughout their life, and that right there was straight up idiocy, all wrapped up in one. And that, my friends, is not what not to do. So please actually look at that and learn from it.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. I'm not going to really add much to what you just said. I need to say, like you said, if you're in a work environment and someone runs and jumps you, you arrest them on assault. So that's the kind of charge. Just because he's professional wrestling, you see him maybe taking bumps, doesn't mean he's not a fucking person, and what you've done is against the law as well. It's a shame we have to end on that, but then again, after the shit show at fucking Survivor Series, the fans in Brooklyn had to do Saint, didn't they? So
right, definitely, yeah.
I love you, Ultimate One. You're my man. You know that. But, sometimes in wrestling, it happens.
Get your crew in order, yeah? Get your crew in order.
We'll see what happens there. But, like I said, that is it for today. Can you believe it? Don't forget, we're across all social media. Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. Jaxie, where can people find you?
Yep, I'm across both Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Jaxie Scarlett.
Brilliant. The Double also on Facebook and Instagram, across all the Google platforms. Send us an email to doublenrpodcast@gmail.com, and YouTube, the Double R Podcast, where all the latest clips and podcasts at the same time on YouTube as they do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Next episode, I unchain Monty from the radiator downstairs and bring him up for NXT UK. Our next one with Jaxie will be in a couple of weeks' time. It will be AEW Prelude just before Christmas. That will be. But until then, I have been James Rollins, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Thanks very much again for joining me.
Thank you. It's been, even though it's been a bit of a dramatic telling of the pay-per-view, I've had lots of fun.
Without a doubt, like I said, we've been doing this for a little while now, and that has got to be the most, I think, fun and maybe controversial podcast that we're going to do. But like we said,
Definitely.
We do enjoy WWE, and we will be bringing you more stuff in the new year as well. But thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.